came from HMS Indefatigable. The beams from the Armada were eventually integrated into the pub.
At BFBS Creative, we are creative storytellers. We are specialists in unravelling the untold, even from the most difficult locations. We help you reach the audiences you need to reach. From documentary interviews to addressing communication hurdles and crafting your content strategy, we can do it all. We thrive in the toughest environments, ensuring your stories are told brilliantly.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the RAF Stormshadows channel. I am once again joined by the immeasurably enthusiastic Roman in the commentary box this evening, Roman. And as you can see on your screens there, it is the RAF Stormshadows taking on the Army Esports side. A fascinating insight into what we might come to expect in the inter-services. But for tonight, it's the Armed Forces Dungeon League. Let's get this show started.
Carries this forward, gets 50 with Fraz. Ed, get into that one. NB tucks it away. And as I say, they need an opening goal. They have managed to get one here, 1-0.
Frazic, though, does some nice defensive work. But P finds Cedric. Cedric finds Envy. Beautiful stuff from the RAF Stormshadows. 2-0.
Approximately a minute and a half left to go. Envy goes for a pass to P. P with a shot. P with a goal. Tucked away in the top left corner. 2-1 to the RAF Stormshadows. And they are shining through here after the Army. They've struggled to rotate. They struggled to get into position after kickoff. And P managing to give the RAF Stormshadows that advantage
Didn't
again.
have a lot to work with, didn't have a lot of the goal to aim at, but he put it in the one place that it was going to go to, and Cedric makes it 3! And the floodgates are beginning to open here for the RAF Stormshadows. A great 30-second burst, and now they've just got to hold it, or even go for more.
Air power wins the matches in Burgundy, and you can't tell me otherwise as Ed will tuck that one away, and the Stormshadows have the advantage here with 3 minutes left to go. Nothing about air superiority there. P just managing to get a pass across. A very strong 50 indeed, and Ed had an entire net to tuck it away. 1-0 to the Stormshadows, and the Army, they've been crumbling since game 3. To control this one and take it downfield, intercepted immediately by Ed, and this pressure from the Stormshadows has been relentless, and Envy, the man from Cosford, will tuck this away to make it 2-0, and almost an improbable comeback for the Army to try and pull off with 90 seconds left to go. The way they've been playing, the RAF Stormshadows, they're currently unstoppable.
The RAF Stormshadows, an incredible goal. They've done it again, and it's 2-0 now, and it's 3-0 now. The lead looking unassailable.
Gives Ed some time here on the sidewall, gets it up. P is on the backboard lurking. Is Ed going to get this one away? No, but Envy's going to be there. Envy's going to tuck it away. It's 4-1 to the RAF Stormshadows. Rose-tinted glasses are on, and I don't care. It is game over. The RAF have trampled the Army. 4-1, could be 5-1. I don't care what the scoreline is. It's going to be game over with 1:06 left to go. You're going to have me in the commentary box. I'm going to be hyping the boys the entire time, not just the Stormshadows, the Sentinels and the Shadows as well, as this game comes to a close with almost P tucking away a very nice shot there, just drops at the death. Stormshadows 3, the Army Sparrows 1, and well, the Stormshadows did it in fashion late on.
Hi, I'm AS1T Stelios Elia. In-game, I am known as SE1997.
Corporal Elliot Greenwood, and in-game I'm known as G-Wood.
My name is AS1 Tech Edward Nussy Waite, otherwise known as Cedric in-game.
It's already looking like they've upped the bar from last year, which is a really tough job to even do that. We are looking forward, not just myself, but as a team, to going out on that stage and representing the Royal Air Force as best as we can.
Playing up on a stage like this is the first time. We had a thing called Rank A, where it was all the top players played against each other, and then we picked our teams. I've finally made it into the first team after a lot of hard work.
Both my teammates are really talented. We gel super well. Really looking forward to playing with them on stage and seeing what we can do.
From my end, the leadership were outstanding, no issues at all.
Not just from my own personal line management, but also the Royal Air Force Esports Association backed us very well, I should say, and made sure we had all the support we needed to get here, and they're always a phone call away if we do need them for anything.
Really excited to play Coast Guard. It'll be closer than everyone thinks after playing them. We think we stand a bit of a fighting chance.
The second Air Force team, emphasis on second now. They're a solid team, three really good players who could do some damage for sure.
Although we are in different forces across NATO, we are colleagues, so it's nice to meet them in person and just have a laugh and play against them and hopefully beat them as well.
You ready? AFG, you're washed.
Coast Guard, you ain't as good as you think you are. We're coming for you.
Space Force, stick to mini golf.
We're going to win it.
No, we're not.
We're going to win it. We're going all the way.
I thought it was good until I saw them play. The Americans will never hear the end of it if we end up winning somehow.
Look, I'll shake on it. You know me, I don't drink. I will drink heavily if we win.
That the pressure put down. Stelios with no boost thrown into corner will be wildly out of position. G-Wood needs to put it to the air. Don't go towards net on this one. Instead, Cedric go for the double touch. It's a beautiful finisher. 19 seconds into OT, and the RAF already going to match point.
That's right, boys. Once again, I'm joined alongside none other than Stelios. Stelios, at the very start of that matchup, you pointed out the fact that the strategy was aggression, was confidence. Do you personally feel like you guys delivered on all fronts?
Yeah, it was a series that we just stuck to the plan and executed it to perfection. I felt really good myself. I felt the other boys also played their part individually, and then we executed the plan as a team together. It was almost perfection, which means we've got to live up to that in the next round as well. So we can't just rest on our laurels. We've got to take it forward.
Well, for you personally, you were the first one to score goals across, I think, 2 or 3 of those matches that we saw there as well. Was that part of the game plan for you to be the force of nature, as it were, in this matchup?
I'm certainly a force of nature, but usually not in front of goal. It's usually Cedric or G-Wood that are bagging the goals when it counts. However, the way we're set up is it doesn't matter who has the chance to score. It could be any one of us. The way we play, we create spaces for anyone to score. And it just so happened that it was me that was in the prime position to put it in the back of the net, and thankfully I did.
Half, but not for too much longer. Sentinels have broken free, although only momentarily. Now into the retreat, Cedric and Asher, not for the first time today, failing to meet the problem at the source.
That's Cedric though. Air gets just the tiniest of the resets on that ball, but it pushes it just over the edge where Asher cannot grab it.
And there's an equal response from Samet. Asher at the interception, but that's straight to G-Wood. Oh, and he shoots just past the post. Stelios! 2-2 at last. Another sucker punch. How strong is that proverbial jawline? And actually, you can see the severity of the situation. There's no smiles. And Samet again waits it out. Stelios now looking for Cedric. Oh, that's a beautiful layoff.
For Stormshadows, of course, we're going to be showcasing the other lower bracket match as well. It's going to be coming up on your screen later on. Just a quick comment where there's only one life for the team and there is no field for mistakes.
I feel like it's easier said than done. I also worry that this might be too simple a statement to make of the situation, Jam. For the Sentinels, is it really as clear-cut as get it? And all the while, time being burned off the clock. Still 2-1 Sentinels, but that's going to change very quickly. I feel like I put on my crown, Jam. The King of Cursed is back.
For Shaman as well to look and demo or bump the player out of the way. Not on that attempt. pretty sure Stormshadows will be thinking about it. That's certainly one thing on Cedric's mind, though. Golds, and more golds.
And Cedric actually just lays off, allows Samez the room, but then wiggles his way through all on his own. Cedric to G-Wood! It's a save, but it's not enough! 2-1 Stormshadows!
The ball caroms off the oncoming player with a series-winning goal scored just 30 or so seconds before the end of the game. It is the Royal Air Force Storm.
Spirited a performance as that was. Let us not forget that they have now tripled their game output in a single. Do apply. And that resource will eventually run out in the form of boost. Oh, very sneaky from Cedric. Lovely flick over the top of everybody. Oh, it's a spectacular from Cedric.
Space Force just a little bit. Exchange of long-range efforts, but I do love the proactivity and Reed's shot. Cedric denies it. Crossbar post out.
That is fortuitous. And now they're down the other side with a potential opportunity. G-Wood snuffed at the near post. 3 minutes plus! And they don't need the 3 minutes plus, just shy of. Cedric with a stunner. And it's match point for the Stormshadows. Doubling up now. This suits Space Force just fine. 1-0 advantage. A slender one, yes, but one nonetheless. And Space Force relying a lot more on Demos, but who needs Demos, Jam, when you've got G-Wood? What a redirect. Sometimes you got to throw that experience out the window and play the game in front of you. But I'm not going to commit to a certain way of thinking. I'll let you as the audience decide. And I'll let these players on the pitch decide. I tell you what, G-Wood is getting a bit of a handle, a bit of a knack on creating these goals out of nothing.
They do so gracefully.
You know, Space Force press not as intensive as I would like to see personally, and that's allowing the Stormshadows not just time on the ball to get out of defense, but to get shots away, Jam, and Stelios has just put them ahead.
Cannot get it out as far as the midfield line. Still keep on returning. Cedric sees that there's just no opportunity for Ethan to raise it down from his head, and Cedric wins it in overtime for Royal Air Force. A 7-game thriller with 1 extra minute of the overtime. He is the absolute star player of that Stormshadow side.
The runners-up rise. RAF Stormshadows continue their lower bracket journey. The Space Force valiant until the end. But in the end, it was Cedric, a man who made a couple of mistakes earlier on, a man who let Space Force back into the game, who truly struts his stuff when it matters most. Wow.
Stelios, the most animated.
Stel, talk to me, because we had a few overtimes in this series as a whole. Game number 3 in particular, you were looking incredibly stressed. The comms between your team, I'm assuming, were a little bit chaotic.
At times it was very, very chaotic. Yeah, you're right. You're spot on with that. And in those moments, it's actually Cedric, or as we know him, Ed, who takes the second.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the RAF Stormshadows channel. We are live once again on this momentous occasion. A big fixture tonight, a token match for you all to enjoy. One of 2 in this week's lineup. Sorry, we've got the Nighthawks, who are third, taking on or defending their 3rd position against the RAF Shadows, who have been working very hard in the Shadows to take that 3rd spot as well. Tomorrow evening at 8 PM. But tonight we focus on the RAF Stormshadows defending their 1st place position against the RAF Tempests. And joining me for the discussion and cast this evening is, of course, Danny Boy. Once again, how are you, sir? And it's nice to have you back.
First of all, I'm just going to Sir still. We've been friends for too long here. You do not need to introduce me that at all. But I'm a wee bit flustered already. Last time I got called Sir, I was still a teacher at that point. You know, I'm doing quite well. You know, it's been an interesting evening. I've been sitting in the Discord within the community, chatting away. And I won't lie, I sat here and thought that, you know, in this type of matchup, maybe on the tad bit on the boring side, maybe done and dusted. But everybody gave me the other impression in scrims, in warming up, and sitting there saying they're ready for this type of matchup. So I don't know if it's my barometer broken style, or is this potentially a momentous occasion just waiting to be unleashed here?
Well, of course, it'll be a good time to remind you all of the rules in a token match. If the Tempests take tonight's best of 7, they will be the first team in RAF Rocket League history to take the Stormshadows name from this roster, featuring a combination of Envy, Cedric, and P. Tonight, of course, that will have a bigger squad in the future. Maybe a 5-man roster it may extend to in the future, but it'll be the first time that happens if they can get this over the line. And Danny, they have a good chance to do it. They know that they have full selection tonight, the Tempest, of course, with Reedy, their latest addition to already stacked squad alongside G-Wood, Samez, and of course, new boy Action, who has surprised a lot of people with some of his performances and turned a lot of heads. And I don't think it'll be as straightforward as some people might think tonight, but you can never discount the quality and the class of this RAF Stormshadows side, who have been there and done that for countless years now. Even Envy is beginning, I think you'll agree, to get on the side of experienced within this scene and community. So Danny, I think they'll have a lot of trouble on their hands trying to take first place from them. It's not impossible, but I think it's going to be very, very tough for them.
Well, the fact is that we were literally mentioned the sort of the big age in terms of 30 and getting a tad bit older. There's only one on this pitch here. It's unfortunately on that side of things still, and that is unfortunately G-Wood, sort of that elder statesman within the Discord and the community. You rightly said here, but you're focused on NB. Unfortunately, here NB is no longer the player in the spotlight. It's now over to the Tempest now, and NB may not like that. He may not want to have that. But when you have Action and Reedy, let's not forget here, the two new players of the RAF are in the same shoes that NB once walked. It's the question is now, can they do it better?
That's actually a very, very good point. And Danny, I think it's time to get hype. I don't know about you. I think I'll hand over to you for this one.
Oh, it's time for the flagship, the RAF Stormshadows, the Inter-Service champions, the back-to-back, looking to defeat the man that has stayed and
Played off many of its newest contenders, the likes of Reedy, Action, and of course G-Wood, do battle as the Tempest looks to take, shall we say, the crown truly off its throne.
Tempest away in the orange corner. G-Wood, what a first touch, going straight at the Stormshadows. It tries to go underneath Cedric, and Action hooks the shot. Envy with a vital save, and Reedy follows up, and what an electric start as the Tempest put the Stormshadows under some real pressure. They can't quite find the goal, but the pressure still persists inside the Stormshadows half.
If you sat here and said to me that was how the action was going to go this evening, I would have told you you were a liar. I would have called you somewhat rude and nasty words here. How dare you suggest that the likes of the Stormshadows would have allowed that type of attack and pressure? But I mean, you just have to catch your mind back about a month ago where the Tempest at one stage was rattling around. It was the Nighthawks back then, but I don't want to sort of disencourage here anybody who's tuned in here, but it's essentially a new roster that the Stormshadows have to play against, but it's the old guard P knocking in the first goal already.
Tell you something as well, P has been silently on the grind. He's a man that has a bit of a revival on the game over the last couple of weeks, and he shows his class there. A man who's been there and done that for the RAF Stormshadows over many, many years now. Even before I was in the RAF personally, he was kicking around the Rocket League, and that's a really good demo. And Cedric, I don't think was expecting it there to drop to him as kindly as it did, but P has given them a lead and a settler now. And after some early Tempest pressure, the Stormshadows look much more settled and in control of this first game.
That's in terms of length here in the history of action. Looking to tie that one up as NVC, but I would be roughly accurate to sit here and say that Pierce himself, or Mr. P, or VP, whatever he's going by these days, and that one flashes across the net, was longer in Australia than you have been as one IC still. That's how long he's been into it.
That is such a throwback. I don't even know how you remember that, to be honest. That is crazy. That is you pulled the blinder there, Danny.
Oh, I've got a few more, shall we say, up my sleeve here. I might see them for BFBS and Inter-Service later on this year.
Yeah, fair enough. And we do, of course, have the first Inter-Service online qualifier of the evening as Action turns that one in, I think, from close range from G-Wood's initial shot. Good pressure by the RAF Tempests. They brought it back, and they're back to 1-1. But that is a hell of a stat you pulled out there, and I can't wait to see more of those little token stats that you pulled out. It's fascinating, really. You know a lot about the history of RAF Rocket League, more than some of the players, and myself even as a co-IC for it, which is a remarkable thing to say.
Well, we always sit here and we always talk about it, it's getting better each year, and that's going to be probably no different with the Inter-Server and BFBS. But I'm still waiting to be invited or the future. Shall we take a moment here to talk about the player of the season own goal in here?
I mean, it was an awkward looping ball, courtesy of Action, and he had limited boost. So he had to jump for it, had to get something on to try and tip it over the bar, which was his intention. However, not executed properly, and it found its way into the top right, and the Tempests take control of his first game. Down goes Envy on Reedy, though. It was a good fake. P, really good read, and the press comes straight back onto the Stormshadows attacking third. Cedric, wonderful first touch. Up goes Reedy, challenges him, and the Tempest now will look to build into a third goal. Envy almost faked up by Action, but Action's touch was enough, and the Tempest retained pressure inside the Storm Shadows defensive third.
Just as easy as that, and I don't know if anybody was paying attention over this weekend. Some people may be celebrating their 29th birthday. I'm not going to point fingers or directions to anybody, make them embarrassed. But there's been a few show matches was going on. The RAF might be a tad bit worried. The Army was had a show match on recently as well too, and the US of A had theirs. But Cedric might want revenge later on this campaign and season. The man apparently lagging, far from it.
You can see there he's turned his camera off. I think he's gone full lock. So I am just gonna make sure that his camera isn't showing going forward. So I'll remind me to do that after this game. But it's a fine effort from the Stormshadows captain Cedric as they look to get back in front here as P finding Envy, and it's going to be centered. It's missed by G-Wood, and Envy comes across the crossbar. Same with P, but they're both ball side now, so they've got a bit of rotating to do. P, you can see there in the background going for the back post pad rotation. Good macro play from him. Action though, can he go high? He can, and P somehow pre-jumps it with limited boost. Envy on the counter attack. Is there going to be a final shot on goal? It's P. Can he find the dribble? He can over G-Wood. Lines up Reedy, and Action beats the second man. But Action there just to cushion the ball away, and it's still 2-2 heading into the final minute of play here in game one.
Well, that is a fantastic save by Reedy. You're talking about moments of play there. I thought that was going to be the third and probably decisive goal here. And you just need to talk about being at Old Trafford, what a 3-2 scoreline looks like as Cedric thumps in another one.
And the game just threatened to go a little bit out of control for the Stormshadows in the midpoint when the tables had turned and that 1-0 lead evaporated and it became a 2-1 game. But they just took a moment to settle, to reconfigure, and they found their goals and they re-established their dominance here now in the final minute. Can they hold on to give themselves the dream start here in this best of 7? Remember, it is best 7, it's not a 5 or a 3, so there's time for both teams to work with here as P goes for the P direct, and it almost came off as Cedric comes across, places onto the back wall and to the left-hand side wall, and this is where the Stormshadows will want the ball now for this last couple of moments, and what a flying effort from Cedric, saved by G-Wood.
P drops, NB drops as well. So a few seconds here, G-Wood is a bit awkward in action, just bails out the G-Wood mistake, so another secondary touch here by Envy, and this should be a lockdown situation by the Stormshadows, and guaranteed game number 1 is P. 1 touch, 2 touch, excellent from him and Envy. This is why they're at their service champions for, I was going to say another word there, but I don't think it'll be suitable. This is an old Irish slang word, but what will be the case of it, a 3-2 scoreline for the opening. I'll put it this way very kindly still. I wouldn't say it's a perfect start, but it's the start that you'll want, especially when it's your first match of the campaign.
Absolutely right. It's a nerve settler for both these two sides, and the Tempests won't come away from that feeling too disheartened, because yes, they went in front and yes, they ended up losing, but they had some good moments in there. They started off the in my opinion, the better of the two teams, which is an important phase of play. If you start well, usually you finish well. They couldn't get it over the line, Danny, but they're in this game. They're in this series right now. They just need to continue where they left off in the first moments of that game. For the Stormshadows, they won't be too phased by that Tempest pressure. They're used to soaking up pressure against some big teams as well. So for them, it's just more of the same. Maybe be a bit more cleaner in defense.
Well, certainly, maybe the particular case of it is, yes, I certainly hope that would be the case of it, but do you know, in that moment you see the play happening, you're just waiting for it to actually occur? That was it.
Yeah, and G-Wood just putting the ball dangerously across the face of the goal, and Reedy, mouth-watering, salivating, recognised the danger and put the ball into the roof of the Stormshadows net. And once again, the Tempests start fast. Seems to be a positive quality that they have in their relatively new roster as well, by the way. You know, Action pretty new, Reedy brand new to this roster, and the experience of G-Wood and Samez only half on the pitch. Samez opting to be on the bench for this evening's token match, as G-Wood rifles one into the top right, and Cedric having to make a really awkward save, but a really good save nonetheless, and Envy just cushions the ball away now. Lines up G-Wood, up goes Cedric, light touch in towards P, tries to play it back to his captain, but Cedric chooses just to wait on the boost, and P fakes out G-Wood, who gets a touch on it, and Action able to divert the ball away again. P would surely cut for this, which he does. Will it be a soft touch? No, it's just down the line to G-Wood, who can 50 out here. It's good play by the Tempest captain.
And that needs to be seen. Unfortunately, it's far from it. It's the right set of idea here by the Tempest. The 50's okay, the fake's okay. But at the moment when you get sort of spliced right open, you actually need your defender on the back post here. Far too much of a gap wide open. And it's just been moved perfectly right in. I do want to draw a moment's attention here still to the fact is that it's also the first time we do see blue tags in the RAF matchup as well, in the light blue variant kind that isn't your own here, Stelios. Both Envy and Cedric carrying the contenders tag from this year.
They are indeed. Of course, Cedric coaching in the SSA region, getting a top 8 over there with Team HSK, of course, which is the org that he co-owns as well, so he's done a lot of good work over there. I think P actually is due to get one in Split 2 as well. He qualified for it in the manager role, and I think Envy in the sub role as well. Was it sub role? I'm not sure if it was sub role or if it was another role. I can't remember which one.
Would it be managers or coach?
One of the two, but P actually did, it's worth saying as well, P actually did a lot of work for his tag that's coming up. He was managing the full scrim schedule for that SSA roster, which is for him was brand new. He had to work very hard, and I'm actually quite impressed by his management. Having been in many rosters now in RLCS with many managers that claim to be good, I have to say he wasn't managing, of course, my roster, but the HSK roster that he was managing, he did a very good job, I thought. And not that it's relevant, of course, but I think it's worth mentioning.
Well, you know, it's one of those ones where credit used to be due. I mean, back in the sort of the dark days, if you want to call it, or when sort of the light was coming back out in sort of 2020, coaches was just a thing. And speaking about the man that knows how apparently manage a schedule, certainly knows how to manage that one. Back in the net, clean and sweep as that one.
A beautiful, well-worked move from the Stormshadows there. Cedric combining with P, a combination old as time itself. Coming good, coming to fruition once more for the RAF Stormshadows. 2-1, and once again, after the Tempests are in front, they are unable to hold, and they've been stung by this Stormshadow side, who are looking hungry tonight just to get the job done in as quick a time as possible. There will be an open net now. G-Wood, will he get there? He does. Enough pace on the shot, and it's 2-2, just like that.
Do you know what? It's impressive here, and you know, coming into tonight here, you know, when you sat there and said about Samas on the bench here, to some degree understandable. Last token match we saw, what was about a week ago, 2 weeks at this point, complaining sort of about the lag issue that he was having, sort of undermined the performance a tad bit, and hence probably partly the reason you probably look at in terms of selection going in tonight. But during the interview, sat there and said it was a spin your wheels sort of type job in terms of the selection, and that's how much trust G-Wood had. But when you brought in, you know, 2-star players, the form of action here in the second token match, and Reedy, who's been impressive everybody to the point here where he's been the best rookie probably so far since Envy himself. And the fact G-Wood's still on the pitch here shows the temperament of the player that he has here.
And again, a testament to our community as well. We have a committed player base of exceptionally high quality across, especially across the top 4 teams. You know, even in some of the, you know, the bottom 2 or 3 teams have GC players in them, and it's crazy really when you think about it. And that is of course due to the infrastructure that we have set up over these last few years and the players buying into it from all 7 teams that we currently have. Like, you know, they buy in and they put the work in and they see the fruits of their labor. You know, we are at the end of the day of one service trying to retain the inter-service title this year as well for what will be the 3rd time in a row in one, and 3rd time in history as well, because there's only ever been, if you include this year, this is the 3rd inter-service season. Of course, there'll be a 1v1 as well. And as Envy goes for a backboard double touch, still we draw here in game 2, and still these 2 teams can't break deadlock.
I do have a genuine question here. It's just
Go for
popping
it.
in my head when you said that there. Will there be an official proper trophy for the RAF if they win the 3 in a row? Do they get to take it home as well too?
We've taken home the last 3 I should say, with if you include the 1v1 trophy as well. There will be the winners will always get to take it home. For us anyway, I'm not sure about the Navy and the Army. The trophies will be on display in the RAF Cosford Esports Arena, which is where they currently reside. Envy has the 1v1 trophy in his place of residence, I'm pretty sure. Or actually might be in the room as well, I'm not sure. But we will get to take it home if we win again this year, of course. But we know the Army have a much improved team coming into this year, as Cedric wins it for Stormshadows in overtime, and that is cruel for the Tempests. That is so cruel. But if we are touching on the inter-services again, and not only do the Army have an improved team this year as well, we'll have an improved team this year as well, and as of course the Navy will also have an improved team. So Danny, the season's only just getting started. Qualifier 1, May 19th and 20th, so stay tuned for that one. I'm so excited to attack this year of inter-service action, as well as many other events that are in the schedule.
Well, I was just merely curious on that there, because on my Twitter feed briefly, you know, there was talking about, you know, the Gold Champions League trophy of Arsenal to win it, and hence, you know, not like they were the first team. Man United would have been one. Ajax would have been potentially another one to add on to that, but that's in history of European, not the inter-service. And you know, I did hear, you know, the Army's few comments they did have on stream. They're suggesting here that I think the Stormshadows might be easier the rule going into this campaign, based on the way the commentary was here. I'm not trying to throw the marbles around, say, to cause a few arguments, but it did sound like that way.
No, and I welcome it. I welcome it. Competition is it needs to be healthy, and they need to be good for us to also improve. The same things were also said last year. I must say the same sentiment was the same last year, that the Army, you know, they were really confident that they would win it, and we came through in the end. So more of the same, we'll see. But I welcome the challenge, and I don't think it's bad to have a good inter-service rivalry with the Army or the Navy. So whatever they have, whatever improvements they have made, I'm excited for it.
I see and hope here, but in terms of this evening's token match, 3-2 has been the scoreline, of course, with that OT in the last one. I thought it was going to, I think everybody else at home too thought it would have lasted longer than the 3 seconds presence. As a double commit and the opening goal once again by Cedric. It to me tonight feels like it was the wrong time for a token match here, especially with the 2 areas in terms of the transfer from Reedy out for Trinity. Not to get too much in terms of the behind the scenes side of things, but on display here still, I would sit here and suggest that the gameplay hasn't matched the comments, the backing up of the statements here, but he would thumped in that one.
And it's an emphatic response for the Tempests. I'm not quite sure there what was going on in the Stormshadows kickoff plan there, but maybe it was the wrong time. But I think as well it was almost a denial of opportunity at giving the Nighthawks a rematch. They almost, as soon as that token match was over against the Nighthawks, they threw in their token again on the RAF Stormshadows, and I think it's just a free shot really, a free shot for them to try and take the throne in what will be a historic event if they can pull it off. But in hindsight, the way the series is going right now, was it the right time as Cedric smashes that top right? Phenomenal goal one, but I see why they did it. I see why they did it, Danny. I see why. I don't have anything against them for doing so, but the Stormshadows at the moment, again, they're showing their class, and they're making them, they're still going to be the team to beat, I think, going into the inter-service qualifier 1.
Certainly do, and it's just the only reason, if you want to call it this way, of the I wouldn't say hypercritical mind that I have here, but the analytical side of sort of looking at it, I think maybe far too soon here. You know, unless you want to have that battle scars of actually, you know, a match lost under the belt here. But you know, I'm just going to play a bad devil's advocate here, losing in terms of sweep here. Nighthawks, you know, go on to beat the Shadows in some fashion, and suddenly you might have a token match within what, a week's time here with Tempest versus Nighthawk in essentially a revenge match here. Is it WWE here that you're slowly building up here?
Potentially, and that's part of the beauty of the token match system. It's full of storylines, full of drama, and of course high stakes. You know, our AFEI qualifier this year, because of the delays to the planning of the event from the American side of things, you know, we might not get to play a qualifier. We might have to actually use our token standings as the top 2 teams to take. So, you know, the token match standings are important as they've ever been. Obviously, we will try and play a qualifier, but at the moment, I don't have any availability from the teams to do so in the next month or so. Which, with the event being literally next month. Yeah, with the event. No, not at all. with the event being next month, and you know, there's not a lot of time, so we may have to use the token standings for the first time to decide the 2 teams to go to Germany, which, as it stands, of course, would be the Stormshadows and this RAF Tempests roster. Revenge is sweet, says Trinity in the Twitch chat. Revenge is sweet.
Joe, since we're waiting for, I believe Cedric's on a restart here due to the issue at hand here, might as well head to the fact of, you know, the point of talking about, while I get my head out of my notepad there. It's a situation here, and I'm not going to try to put you behind an 8-ball still since you're management here, but because of the, let's say, if the token match were to use and things were to spill out here, roughly when would the qualifier be, or where it should have been roughly?
Usually we do the qualifying in April. That's how we plan it earlier. Right now, we've booked everything, all the travel and the accommodation. Usually everything's sorted, but because of the delays and the real world stuff that's happened, that's caused a delay in the planning side of things. We're cutting it really fine. So I don't know if we'll actually be able to play a qualifier for this. It's going to be tough. I don't know. It's our intention to. And I'm currently waiting on availability from teams. But yeah,
I'm just going to throw this out here, and this is a wild idea, not to devalue the token matches here, but why not a league then? A one-off standoff, round robin, when availability's there, everybody just gets on and we just do it live as it was the old-fashioned ways back when it was 2015.
That is kind of the intention. I've offered out to our teams two formats, either the standard group stage into double elim format for our qualifier, or simply just doing it one day, one double elim, or one whatever system it is, just doing it in a singular day. I've offered it. I'm just waiting for availability to come back. That will determine whether or not we can do a qualifier. I certainly want to. It's the fairest way, but the token match system is there for as a redundancy.
The situations, yeah.
Exactly. For series exactly like this. And right now these two teams locked in again at 2-2 and shot that P. What a touch by P, by the way. When was P doing soft touches like that?
Just recently, since the last inter-service, roughly, is when the last time I remember that. I'm also just trying to work out roughly in my head here, because we could, in theory, have a scenario here. If the Tempests win here, the Stormshadows, if they rematch, lose that. Nighthawks lose the Shadows. You could, in theory, have, potentially a Shadows and Nighthawk 1-2 in the token matches with the results in the right way, with no second token match as a revenge situation here.
It is, and it makes me giggle with glee, because it's such an intricate system, and the tactics behind how you put your token in, when you put it in, there's risk behind it, and the teams have to talk as a group and decide if it's the right time. The Tempest felt this was the right time for them, and to be honest, they've made a fight of it. The games haven't been clean out in front wins for the Stormshadows. I would say it's been relatively comfortable, but by no means has it been simple. And like I said, the wins haven't been by multiple goals. The Tempests are there and thereabouts as Envy puts that one into the roof of the net. What a finish! And they just have a way of showing their class, Danny, when the games get tight.
Yeah, it's how I refer to it anybody at home. It's like podcast commentary, because you know for the first 2-3 minutes, and you might wonder why they aren't typing up the gameplay, because you know the first 1 or 2 goals that go in here, it's going to settle down, and it's almost like sand. Once you shake it a few times, you know it will eventually get level. It's just a question on when that decisive moment, and consistently, it's been that sort of P and Cedric connection. To the fact of it here, I'll sit here and say this: Envy's had a very quiet game to the point here, you know, we haven't had the need to say his name very much this evening.
That is a clear distinction. Like there's haven't had the need to say it. You know, that's whenever you can play a quiet, relaxed series and not have to stress too much and play too well mechanically. That's an important save though from the young man. As that one looked destined for the net, and the Stormshadows kept the win. And in the end, it was an important contribution there from Envy. But I don't disagree with you. He hasn't needed to be much in the series. He's almost been playing third manish and let Cedric and P cut continually. That is the trend that I'm getting from the Stormshadows side. But it doesn't mean he's not been effective in what he has done.
Yeah, to me, and actually, I like 1-goal games. I like it when it's back and forth, and this is a joy to have sort of situation. But the problem is, and with somewhat alluded to it, the Tempest is not a side at the moment here fully understanding each other in terms of ability, where the Stormshadows has, and it's that ability where, you know, I think we had this discussion still last season with BFBS. You know, is understanding the situation that you are. And hence, once you understand that, then you can have the understanding of your emotions, what to do and how to respond. To the point here where, you know, if Envy could be, you know, sitting there with a nail file and shaving his, you know, nails down and trying to work out what shade of pink he's going to put on here. That's how comfortable he is at the moment, because he knows he doesn't have to fire in, you know, 2-3 goals because the Tempest is putting him under pressure. He just has to do one save and let the ball do the rest of the talking here.
It's a smart way to play, I think, and you know, the third man heavy playstyle is there for a reason. I had a roster that played that style, so I know it pretty well, and it can be done well if you can trust that third man to take soft touches, to take attacking touches as well when the time is right, and not to overcommit. It's a very effective playstyle, especially with Envy, who is, we know, very, very comfortable on the ball, has good mechanics, has a soft touch, should slow things down and kill the play, but also a lethal injection of flair and speed when the time is right. You know, it's there. They have the style nailed down, and they're going. You know, the more they play it, especially when the new guys come in as well. We got obviously Thuba coming through. When they nail that down as a 4-man unit, no matter who's playing, the Stormshadows just get simply even stronger. And still in the UK Armed Forces today, they are the team to beat. They are the Inter-Service champions. They have the title that everybody wants.
I'll ask you this question here. Are they going to get beaten at the Inter-Service? Yes or no, still? Just straight down the line.
In the online qualifier?
No, I mean in the finals.
In the LAN?
Without seeing anything from the other teams so far here, other than I suppose the RAF here, are they going to do it? Yes or no?
At the LAN in December?
Yes.
Yes.
That confident?
Yes. We will retain the title this year. There's no doubt in my mind.
All right, somebody clip that. Have it ready here for, you know, December time, just to see if that prediction turns out to be right.
Do it. Hold me to it. So Pegasus in the chat. How are you doing, my friend? It's so good to have you here with us. The absolute pig legend himself.
It's slowly becoming a sort of a BFBS month here. We had, you know, Psycho on last week, Pegasus now. You know, who else have you going to whip out the magic tricks here still?
Oh, Pig's been doing some really good work in ROS as well, of course. Appearing on mainstream in APAC, that was an absolute insane moment for me as someone who's watched Pig for a while now. I consider him a good friend of mine. It was so cool to see that. It was so cool. There was a bunch of us, Pig, for your information, in a Discord channel. Me, Cedric, Envy, and Pluvo, we're all watching that, and we're all saying how grateful how happy we were for you and that you fully deserve it. So hopefully we'll see you we will see you in the BFBS quals upcoming shortly as well. Plenty of action to look forward to across this whole year for Inter-Service, BFBS Pro League, IDEG as well, of course, the Inter-Service LAN, all sorts going on this year. But right now, we are locked into this, and that is a gorgeous fake by Reedy. And the Tempests building some momentum here in Game 4. Is it too little too late? Time will tell. But they're 2-0 to the good right now, and they're flying.
Well, the fact is, though, that we've been sitting here doing the promotional raids. I'm just waiting for, RAF is sponsored by Asus or Gigabit if they are interested. And, I'm sure Stale would love to be speaking to you at some point here. Hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but at this point here, it's essentially was, the ad read for the Stormshadows Serenation. That's how comfortable it has been. That's where the point we've been essentially banging on for the last 5 minutes, and the fact that they're 2-0 up for the first time, I would have to agree with your sort of final point, like you said there. I do believe it's too little too late, but it's nice to see it kicking alive to some point.
It is. It will make things interesting if they can hold on to this lead. And we do have Reedy's little sister in the chat as well. Nice to see you here, supporting your brother. He's doing a very, very good job. Danny just dropped the Alienware sponsor. They've been working on the same name drop. GG's.
All I'm just saying is, I'm still, as far as I'm aware, the Team Liquid caster. They know when they return back, I'll probably be heads up here. So the Alienware sponsorship is sitting ready and waiting for me. Joe, that would be some team name in the future. The Alienware RAF.
Yes.
Would that be the right name round on the sponsorship?
Stormshadows by Alienware, presented by Alienware.
Yeah.
It's got a ring to it, to be fair. It's got a ring to it. We are not, of course, sponsored by anybody at the moment. So if you are interested in sponsoring the RAF Stormshadows, please do get in touch. We offer a great sponsorship package, as I'm sure you'll enjoy me and Cedric telling you that into your ears in a Discord call at some point. So please do get in touch. Anyway, if you are watching, we'd love to have you. But Cedric, at the moment, would love to have an equalizer right now for his Stormshadows side. As P coming off the ceiling, and what a shot! And it was an incredible save by Action. How on earth has he kept that one out?
That was incredible. And we've been sitting here trying to work out here what was going to happen. And I'll be honest with you, I did not see the second touch for the Tempest working out as well as it did and cleanly. As Action gets it across, Cedric be awkward enough, and G Wood's temporary sweep and clear and cover. Do you know what? I'll sit here and say this here. If you get the right coach into Tempest, I would argue they could be better than the Stormshadows if they have a style of play, a philosophy to stick to. Right now, it's far too. It's not traditional. It's caveman-like is the way we can describe it. It's see ball, poke ball, hit ball. There's got to be a little bit more to it here.
It's a focused roster. It is a focused roster, this Tempest side. They've got a good mixture of experience and young talent with Action and of course Reedy. They have a lot of potential as G-Wood fakes out Cedric, and a beautiful finish by the Tempest captain sees them go 3 goals to the good here in Game 4. And too little too late it may be, or it may not be, because this Tempest roster now is showing more than signs of life and danger. They have dominated this game, and I think the Tempest now are fully away because says they are my favourite bracket ruiners, Tempest, and I don't disagree with you. They have, on any given day, the Tempest have potential to win any tournament if they play their game, if they can narrow down a style, as Danny said. So that is quite an interesting comment.
Sorry, I've got to disagree here. I'm sorry here. The Tempests are the arsenal of the RAF. They are the best bottlers historically. The Shadows are the best bracket destroyers. Sorry.
But the Tempests, don't forget, were 1 minute and a half away from Inter-Service Championship glory.
Yes.
2 years ago.
Win? What place did they finish, by the way?
Second.
Right, and what place does Arsenal normally finish?
4th. No, I'm joking. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But they've never had a roster this consistent and this with this perfect balance of youth and experience. So they have a chance this year to make a really good run into maybe even winning it.
No, this is where I'll disagree with you. I think their best chance was 2 years ago.
Situationally, yes, because we know what we know, right? Because we know what we know, with them being a minute and a half away, SMV does get a consolation goal back for the Stormshadows. Because we know what we know, I think that's why I was saying that, because they were there. They were in the moment. They were a minute and a half away. But now, if you look at the roster that now as compared to back then.
No, but I'll sit here and say it's like is it Mandela or the butterfly effect? If they beat Envy in that final, would Envy grow as well as he did comfortable wise?
Good point. You know, it definitely would have hindered his journey. Hindered his journey for sure. It would have been a confidence knock. That is an interesting conversation, Danny. That is almost podcast-worthy discussion. I'll be honest.
It's almost like that's where the point we mentioned, the top 25 players history.
You actually need to do that.
Where
You actually have to do that. That is such a good bit of content. That honestly.
Thanks, Pegasus, for causing an argument between Still and I. By the way, it's been very peaceful until that point.
Pig, you're always welcome, bro. You're always welcome, Pig. This is. Okay, I mean, you'll be on the channel at some point, bro. This is you're a legend here. Everyone loves you. 3-1, Danny. 3-1. Series is still alive. Tempest looking. I mean, that is the most dominant game that has been in the series so far with that 4-1 win, which is it says something in itself because the other games have been closer. Do the Tempest have another one in the tank, or will the series end here?
I think it's on the end. I think the only sort of reason why we have this sort of stop and go sort of situation is because of Cedric sort of doubting his sort of equipment. That's my sort of honest belief in terms of the situation. But I like to be wrong here. It's once I would like that wants to be proven outright category. This is not the case here. It's just outright ability and skill what's brought them back into the series here.
They can nail down a playstyle. You're right. Like I think they could be they can be a roster that challenges for the title and especially for this, you know, if not the inter-service title, which I still think they can do. Definitely the Stormshadows title, but the Stormshadows of course have players coming through, you know, the application phase themselves, and the roster will only improve as the year goes on. It will get not only better in terms of ability, but also in depth, as they'll be retaining their players rather than releasing them. P will be remaining with this roster if it does go to 5, of course, which is a big thing to have that level of depth as well. P also brings the vibes to the team. He's so calm to play with, and he can get some really clutch moments as that one sneaks into the near post. Envy had to cover for Cedric. The shot straight back at the Stormshadows net. G-Wood onto the P, and it's cleared away, and Envy finds Cedric, who does 3D. Can he find the sidewall? He could. It looked destined for the back of the net, but it just glanced over the top of Cedric's car, and still 0-0.
Another shot, and that one was again glancing on it, but it would be the second RAF team, at least in the terms of this calendar year, with a 5-man roster, because technically the Hurricanes have also bulked out their particular lineup with a new player. Is it Yang, I believe, is the latest one joining them?
To which team?
Hurricanes. The only other 5-man roster.
You're right. My God, it really escapes. There's Cuddles, Alex, Dumpling.
Cuddles,
Oh
Alex.
yes. Sorry, he used to be called. He used to be called Dumpling. That was it. Yeah. He changed his name. That's why.
I hate RAF players who change their name, and I ain't naming names the likes of Beal, but yeah. Can you just keep it the same?
Maybe. Because it says, oh, it's the P, not Thep. Right, yeah, I actually thought that as well, I'll be honest with you. I thought that at first. But it is the P. And it is also 1 goal now to the good for the Tempests, who are now beginning to make a fight back. This is Pierce allergic to normal names. I love this channel. I love this stream so much, Danny.
Yeah, but here's the thing is, I don't mind P because it's been historic. He's moved out, he's stayed on, it's been like that for years. That's fine, as this is, by the way, the second one of this one. Even Envy, I don't mind, because you had the org name abbreviation MV. That makes fine. But when I have no idea who yous are, and you go from Dumplings to Yang, makes no sense to anybody looking at it. That's when I have the issue.
That is quite a funny topic. Maybe we should do a top 25 names of the all-time Stormshadows as well at some point in the.
Well, Beal would have at least the first 10, surely, with the amount of name changes. What is it? 6 he had within a month.
It was something crazy like that. He is incidentally back actually on a unit now, which is hopefully good for him. He'll be more settled in his lifestyle, which means hopefully he'll be more settled onto a name as well. But of course, there is Bale on the back of his printed jersey, which does exist, as P looks to get them back on the board, and it is 2-1. And Stormshadows off to a slow start here in Game 5. Tempests looking controlled and calm and not under any real duress, but they have now conceded off the counter-attack, which will imply and infer pressure onto their net if they don't score another one. I think the Tempests are the type of team that needs a 2-goal cushion to feel comfortable. They're not great at defending a 1-goal lead, and that's just what I've observed in this series so far.
It's almost the fact that they're allergic to any form of a lead that is that slender. It's the to me that goes down to a lack of game experience. You might be sort of looking at it sort of going, what do you mean with G-Wood on the roster? It's just like anybody else. You know, once you settle down, have that sort of moment, you know what each other's doing with the ball or how they're approaching it. Is that one should have actually been knocked in by Reedy's ability. And hence is why you have this start and go here. Still, if this goes to Game 6, can we get like a best of 3, like a full restart here? Because this is unfair, this type of thing.
Why? Why is it unfair?
Yeah, well, it's clearly the Tempest wasn't warmed up for the first 3 games.
Oh, I see. Well, I like what they're doing. They're fighting back. They're taking the fight to the Stormshadows, and at the moment, they're looking pretty convincing that they've found more attacks on the Stormshadows there, and they've also converted as well, as P looks to rise from the ceiling. Envy has got a difficult read here, and read he does. P will turn. Action couldn't quite bump him, and Cedric will take over the play. Soft touch, and he'll look for a second as well, but Reedy with the clear, and the Tempests are looking a lot more settled now.
They have, and what's actually been the most noticeable thing, especially in the last 2 minutes, is the G-Wood anchor. And this is what will happen at this point, and we'll somewhat break, the history of, the 2 years ago, was that the best moment, the inter-service and the philosophy of playing. You can sit here and go for the last 3 years of G-Wood involvement of his own game, how he approaches and move everything else here. I don't think we've seen a G-Wood since it was Logan and Aisha where he has played that solid as a second man. But in this team, he's shifted that deep as a third here, especially in the last 2 games now. It's allowed the other two to breathe into the game more, especially from the left side wing. That's so far where the most of the play has been happening from the Tempest.
Don't disagree, I really don't. And Pegasus raises an interesting point in the chat. I've not seen the Stormshadows win in this series so far, so he's tuned in at 3-0 down and not seen a Stormshadows win. Is he the Tempest good luck charm? Will we witness tonight the Stormshadows losing their status as the first team, as the community leads? Time will tell, of course. It is only 3-2 and 2 more match points. That's the wrong scene, I apologise. 2 more match points for the Tempest to save. But on the evidence of the last couple of games, Danny, it's certainly there for them.
It certainly is, and you sit there and say, is it a sort of good luck charm with Pegasus going in for the Tempest? Is it a Storm Shadow crux more? Is it a Horlux essentially in terms of causing the downward spiral? Maybe Cedric might tell Peg gets out of the Twitch chat.
No, surely not. I mean, in RLCS, watching the stream is against the rules whilst you're playing. So do we introduce the same thing? No, I'm only kidding. Get in there, the Tempest says Reedy's little sis. Love that from you. Love the support. I know Reedy is heavily supported by his family. It's actually quite a wholesome thing to see in the Rocket League community. And well, whatever your name is, he has got to within 1 game of the RAF Stormshadows. Are we, Big Bro is cooking, says Pegasus. Are we destined for a Game 7 on Champions Field? Or will the Stormshadows make it look easy this game? Overall, I think, Danny, it's fair to say the Tempest are there and thereabouts. Do they have the extra class to take it over the line? P looks to say no with an early goal.
I'm a tad bit confused here, and I'm actually disappointed to really... the fact that you have that sort of type of play, he's rotated the wrong side for the boost grab, but you have time to jump at least to get a block and stands to move across. Now this is the real battle for the Tempest. We're talking about Leeds. It's the first time now since game number 4 they've actually have to play with a situation they're coming back and from a below sense. We haven't seen that from them, so game on now.
Game on indeed, and we'll now get into some play-by-play. I feel like I haven't done play-by-play in a while. It's been a lovely discussion, by the way, this evening on the channel, and I love everyone in the chat for that. I suppose that should be my job, as Envy looks to beat 1.
I feel like that's my fault more, because every time I turn this into a podcast.
Not a bad thing as action into the empty net, and there is the equalising goal. And it was courtesy of a fine bump. I think, who was it? I think it was, of course, G-Wood. Who else would it be? Removing a Stormshadows player from the back line. And as quickly as they conceded that first goal, they have got the equaliser. And from a mental perspective, responding like that so quickly is a good sign. And they get the second as well after kickoff. And the Tempests are fighting back here. And they're gunning for game 7.
Do you know what? This is going to be a mad evening. Without counting civilians teams from BFBS or last season's calendar year, I think what was it? Only 3 sort of official losses on the sort of the score sheet. I think the Army, the USA team, you know, causing those inflictions in the first place in terms of those sort of top sort of defeats in the RAFs. You know, the Havs won this early in the campaign would be unusual and presented. I think you would need to go as far back as, I think, Trinity and Hopper before you would look as an oddity as that. But even still, that would be a loose analogy here. But that's a good thumping by Envy and P. And it's the first time we've actually seen Envy go up in terms of the play here since game 2 and 3.
Didn't have a lot of boost to work with, Envy, but he found the pass. He knew where his teammate was. And P, that is his bread and butter. He scores those all day long. And he would have been salivating, combing that pass in field. And they've got their get back. Can they also find the goal, take them in front again? No, not that time. And G-Wood comes away with it. Has limited boost, but will go for a demo, no doubt. Can't find it. P's smart and alive to the demo. Action limited boost, leaves it for Reedy. Gets faked by P. Limited boost again. Leaves it for Envy, and he will begin for rotation back. Cedric. Oh, it's wonderful play. Will it find the back of the net? No. Just shot, just off the crossbar. And now the Tempest bring the ball away.
Let's see, G would drop back here, and you know, if you are tuning in at just this stage here, the first 3 games has been 3-2 losses, Tempest, and this is much more the familiar storyline that we've seen this evening, the narrative where the, not necessarily lackadaisical, but it's that sort of calm approach that the Stormshadows eventually do get and twist until the pain gets delivered. That's a good save, mind you, by P to potentially cause the Tempest to have anguish at this point. You know, at what point do you sort of change it? We've already seen it twice by the Tempest. The approach has certainly changed. It's going to be the question, will it do it for the 3rd time in one individual game now?
Envy with a good beat. P with a chance again. Lovely flicked effort, just wide of the mark, and Cedric keeps the pressure alive. P will turn. Great soft touch to beat one. B's second man. G1 on the backboard. Good save. But Envy keeps the press. Reedy's there. Limited boost on the cars of all the Tempest players. They are scrambling for boost. That's a great 50 by action. And Envy going for a sidewall. Can't quite connect with it. But Cedric keeps the ball inside. It's back and forth. Here they go in game number 6. Are we destined for a champions field? Time will tell. But right now, it is stalemate. They cannot find a breakthrough for this all-important 3rd goal. But it's the Stormshadows having the better of the attacking play. And surely are moments away from breaking the deadlock if they can just get that final potency that they're lacking right now.
See if there is that twist occurring, and that's at least a shot on target. It's not going to be a threatening one, but it will drain a few resources out. G-Wood drops back actions there. Should be a full takeover and transitional play. Too slow really, and G-Wood has got the wrong side of it. Envy just done enough to clip the last player essentially at the Tempest's phase of play as action will now recycle, get things going. The demos there, should be a drop down by Reedy, not good enough. G-Wood past, of course, the 2-time champion, and suddenly here the narrative has flipped completely the other way round.
And there'll be great relief in the VC of the RAF Tempests right now. We'll be delighted with that. They've overcome a lot of pressure in this last couple of minutes, and they've grabbed the goal, and it was a good goal at that. A nice bit of pressure of their own rewarded, but now they have to do the real hard work. Can they not concede? Oh, it's a mistake from Action. It's awkward. Up goes P, beats one. Is there an equalizer? Action again recovers somehow, and the ball stays out. Cedric just being patient for Reedy's touch. Intercepts it. Challenges Action as well. That boost will spawn in the corner, which will be needed by one of them. And Reedy now one-on-one with Envy, who flicks it to the side and looks for a flicked effort at the near post. It's there, but it's just wide, and G-Wood clears. And this, Danny, is getting very, very interesting now.
Certainly is, and if P had 10 more boosts, that would have been a goal. And I'm just going to be, unfortunately, with the analytical hat and be super critical. Really, he's actually caused this pressure on the Tempest. The moment you have that ball flash across your box here, take the extra second, take the touch, cause the air dribble, pop it in the middle, and give yourself team, a bit of respite to get boost here. Now a double commit's been put across here, and that ball has only been on the Stormshadows half for about 5 seconds in total, but it's under the control on the side in blue, and that's stayed out here. Bump on the keeper, and Envy's, essentially third man position might look a bit odd because he was the first man to the ball, but he was still rotating back. Good cut and pressure. And you know what? We may have game 7. And if you sat here and told me after the first 3 games that's where we'll be heading, I'll be telling you, you would have been mad.
And it will hit the floor. And the Tempests take us to game 7. Who would have thought it? As you said at the beginning of the night, if you told me this would be the case as well, I would have called you crazy. And instead now we have Champions Field. I'm going to also change it to Champions Field. But Danny, what has been the turning point here for the Tempests? Because they looked down and out, 3-0 down, and all of a sudden there was a flurry of hope and activity. Have you noticed any change at all from them?
Well, I sort of sat there and sort of mentioned sort of the elements of it in terms of where the likes of the Tempest, G would move across here. In terms of the analytical side of the game, in terms of him sitting sort of deeper third man, moving across here, the shots being a little bit more, not peppered, but targeted in terms of when they're going for it. But I'd say the key point of this before going into game 7 is probably an attitude change. It's from disbelief to content to suddenly comfort. That's the sort of the 3-stage process that Tempest have found themselves in.
Finally described, as always, as they come forward here in the first game. Chance Cedric storms across. Missed by G-Wood. Touched by action in towards Reedy, who had limited boost. Chance for the Stormshadows to take an early lead here. Envy will rise for it. P Lurkin takes their boost. And all 2 players from the Tempest, they're low on boost. Good pressure by the Stormshadows, but they survive. Envy fakes, beats one and fakes the second as well. G-Wood gets the clear, not before dying though to the bump of Envy. And Cedric will bring away and have a chance to shoot at the Tempest net by action saving. This is a very vital game in the season, the early season of both these 2 sides. It could be imagine the what's the word I'm looking for? The delight, the hope that the Tempest becoming the Stormshadows, what it would mean to them. No one's ever done it before, Danny.
The aspiration, we've sat here and seen it a few times, but never through a token match before. It would be a first, and it would be arguably the biggest upset across here, and Envy's got that one slipping through. I actually don't believe my eyes, because that one had 2 defenders literally on the goal line.
He somehow found the gap as well, and it carried enough momentum. Maybe really could have been a bit positioned further. It's unfortunate for him. But just looking at the face cams there, they don't look phased. They don't look phased by the situation that they find themselves in. 1 game away from losing the title of the RAF Stormshadows. But they look comfortable and calm, and I think in these next few moments, it could decide the outcome of this game, whichever team can stay the calmest. And it's a mistake from Cedric, and really capitalizes on it. After making a mistake at one end, he just lurks and waits and harries Cedric into a mistake, and with limited boost, beats Envy. And it's 1-1, the perfect response for the Tempests.
Joe, there might need to be an official ceremony where essentially the hoodie gets handed over, because we've been talking about for some time, is this the moment where the likes of Reedy and, Action potentially take over the old guard and P and Cedric? Well, if that was the goal to get the game back and tied up, what will the moment be for that goal to rattle through? Or will G-Wood, the former Tempest and Stormshadows man himself, be the one to cause the dagger?
Oh my word! It's G-Wood with a goal from inside his own half. Finally taken, nobody there for the Stormshadows to keep that one out. And once again they find themselves within a few minutes of beating the Stormshadows side. The last time they were in this position, it was, of course, the Inter-Service Grand Final back in 2024. And they failed to take it over the line. This time, it's a much improved roster. Can they make it happen now? Well, they're into the final 3 minutes. And on the current evidence, the answer is yes. And after being 3-0 down, what a way to do it in a reverse sweep if they can make it happen. They just got to stay calm now, Danny.
You know, it would be interesting to know the before and after. A clip of 24 to now in 26. Sure, the before and after, the transitional moment. But you know what, here, you talk about them being better, yes, but it's not the same team. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. It's only G-Wood of that previous roster that still has the scars of previous and Envy. Who, let's not forget, it was one of the very few players who rattled goals in for fun during that competition. Did not have stage fright. That team it was.
And they're finding shots on goal and shots on goal, but it's not amounting to anything threatening, really. The Tempests are looking comfortable right now. And as Piggers has said, he joined when the Tempests were 3-0 down. He's only seen nothing but Tempest wins. What a good luck charm he was. And Dylan, nice to have you in the stream as well. What a moment to join. The Tempests are moments away from securing the Stormshadows name, the #1 spot in the RAF rankings. And what a moment it could be if, of course, they can hold it. There is still time in this game, and it doesn't take long to score. But for the Stormshadows, they've got to find something from somewhere to show that they still mean business here in Game 7.
Don't forget, and essentially, and I'll use the colloquialism, it could also be Germany on the line. If this is essentially a guaranteed ticket as D tops out. Now, if the likelihood is that the token match will be kindly sent to respond if they, of course, go on to lose this. But my words here, 60 seconds to play and hold on. Do you know what? Hold on, park the bus, send the ball along. A good old Irish Hail Mary. Anything at this point here should be the Tempest way of thinking.
And you can see the panic, the anxiety on all 6 players on the pitch. Envy couldn't quite find the read there. And P's touched back in towards Envy, looking a little bit awkward, really punts the ball downfield. 30 seconds to play. And yes, this will decide the new RAF first team if the Tempests can do it. Mistake by Cedric. P will just have a bit of time. Doesn't need to rush just yet. This will be the first time in history that this has happened. If they can get us over the line now, 20 seconds, Danny, take us through.
It'll be Cedric G-Wood up the back wall to clear. Mistake happens, and it's P who rattles this one in. Perhaps it's only right. We're 2 years ago of 2024, nearly heading 3 at this point still.
Absolutely insane.
And the old Tempest once didn't. You would have looked back 3-4 years ago when Logan had a chance, the likes of Aisha had a chance. G-Wood now had multiple chances in his career. But the rookie of the season of last in the form of, shall we say, the Envy, because he's the only one and true 3 times champion, might have to cede the throne to the likes of the newcomer. The Reedy, Action and G-Wood, over to yous.
Oh, and it's creeping in. Can P finish it? Off the post and above the goal it goes. The Tempest now all of a sudden on the back foot after conceding that late equaliser, courtesy of the P, who pops up with the vital goal. But the net's open and P somehow comes across and makes up for his mistake. It's end-to-end action here. The battle for first has never ever been closer. And it continues here, 30 seconds into overtime. It's a wonderful pinch from P. Can Reedy get back in time? He can. Cedric, can he finish it? Really with limited boost, but he gets there for the clearance.
Action takes it away from G-Wood. It's gone to the left-hand side. If you're from the Tempest point of view, Cedric up. Tags mean something, trophy means, but the #1 spot is where everybody wants and arguably dreams about being. And it will be G-Wood. Will he be feeling sweat or licking his lips here at the opportunity as Reedy once again over to G-Wood. No touch here. Cedric takes away, but it's actually a Tempest ball as a result of it.
On Action and Reedy both go up. This is danger. But Cedric beat into it by G-Wood. That was a beautiful dive from the Tempest captain. It had to go that way. It had to be then. Otherwise, the net was open. Envy going for the bump. And Action with a super save. It was down for the top corner, but he's kept it out somehow, and the Tempest still alive here.
Back it goes, and it's Reedy, the MVP of the for the roster mania. It's only been less than a month since the Stormshadows has held that #1 spot officially up the 26th campaign. 2 minutes in the OT, and it's the two-time champion retains the holding of the RAF Stormshadow by name and by nature.
A captain's goal for Cedric, just when they needed it. And I have got to give them their credit. The Stormshadows challenged tonight, but they held their nerve in the vital moment. And for the Tempests, wow, 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 what a moment that could have been for them. What an insane way to lose it in overtime as well. And it just goes to show you the depth in the RAF community is absolutely insane. That was the closest it's ever been, Danny, to a first team losing their status. It's never happened before. And they were inches, moments away, Danny, as indeed they were 2 years ago, almost 3 now, when they almost won the inter-service title from that same roster of Peace, Cedric and Envy. They find a way to get it done. Doesn't have to be pretty always, but they are an effective roster. And after going 3-0 up, Danny, I've got to say it was destined for a sweep, but the Tempests came back and they really should have done it, I think. I think it's fair to say that.
You can split that anyway. You know, you can sit here and say Stormshadows should have been a 4-0 sweep, done, dusted, back to the shards for an early night, which, you know, should have been that way. But, you know, I'll throw this into it, and, you know, spare thought to likes of G-Wood here. Essentially, that's the second clean opportunity in his career, but over near span 4 or 5 years at this point, to take that #1 spot off outright, no clean arguments, to be an inter-service champion, to be this now the #1 seed, essentially. You don't recover from that mentally. You normally don't. I'm worried for him now because if he has the third crack on it, does he falter when that moment comes up?
No, I don't think it does, because this is just the start of the season for them. Now, I don't think even they were expecting it to be that close, and that's no disrespect to the Tempests. They're a new roster with Reedy in action, trying out a new 3 tonight pretty much, with Reedy just stepping in, and what a moment to step in as well. And by the way, I've just seen Tino in the chat. Tino, how are you, brother? Nice to see you here. Welcome to the stream. And it's a moment that they looked just to grasp and had almost a pressure-free shot tonight. Because there was, at the end of the day, there was no expectation for them to beat the Stormshadows. It was just a free shot. Now, next time, you're right. There will be a level of expectation for them, because by then they will have had experience as a roster. They would have had an inter-service qualifier already under their belts. So it'd be a different set of pressure next time for them. Chance gone? Yes, I agree. I think it was there for them after that reverse sweep attempt. I mean, they did incredibly well to stay in it mentally. They will feel it's a chance gone. For the Stormshadows, Cedric will be, no doubt, somewhat disappointed by the way they let the Tempests back into the game after being so dominant early on. But they will also take credit from it in playing, and finishing off, closing out the series after being under such a level of pressure they probably wouldn't have had before. Remember, they've never been in that scenario before. Yes, they've had the inter-service final for the championship, but they've never had the danger of losing their status before. That would have been new to them tonight. And another scenario under their belt that that will be valuable to them for the rest of the season, I think.
It's going to be sort of a nice case in point to having those feelings and understanding what to do here, but it goes to show, and we've been talking about this for near enough a month now. In every sort of broadcast, we talk about how close that sort of top 4 truly is, and essentially, to put this very kindly here, if the rematch did happen, and I think if the Tempest did get it, I don't think the Stormshadows would be as cleanly getting it back. I think they could have been in fear losing 2 matches in a row, but again, that's if buts and maybes. We don't deal with that. But I have to sit here and fair credit here, and I don't know if you would agree, but I would have to sit here and say the likes of Cedric probably would be MVP of the match here. You could make a fair good argument here for P as well too this evening.
And we actually do have the Stormshadows captain in the commentary box with us tonight. So welcome to the stream, Cedric. It was a dream start for the Stormshadows, racing 3-0 into the lead, looking comfortably there for the sweep, Cedric. But before we get into the congratulations, walk me through what that was like, having to weather the storm that was the Tempest comeback.
It's kind of a weird one, to be honest, because I don't know if you noticed, I was experiencing heavy internet issues up until about game 6. And once I got that initial DC in the game that we lost, we just lost all of our momentum, and getting it back was really the hardest thing. And once I think they won that first game, they had like the motivation to continue, and we were kind of bummed out because we'd lost after I DC'd. But yeah, we managed to bring it back very closely in game 7. But credit's due. They played their socks off, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next match against them. Hopefully, we can minimize the gap a little bit and make it a little less close. But we'll see.
I was saying to Danny, like that at least for me, from a psychological perspective, that must have been a new type of pressure for you tonight. Yes, you've almost lost to them in an inter-service final before for the championship, of course, in 2024. That was a different roster back then, and you guys have as the Stormshadows have had a lot of experience since then as well. But tonight was the first time as a trio of any Stormshadows trio that's ever been, where you've been in danger of losing the status of a first team. I mean, I could be wrong, but I imagine that as a different kind of pressure. What was that like from your POV, having that, experiencing that? Is it something, that you got under the belt now?
It was different, defo. Obviously, I've been a Storm Shadow for a very long time. So yeah, there is a bit of a weird dynamic that happens with in a situation like that. But yeah, I think the thing I was thinking is I've said it multiple times. As soon as I'm not a Storm Shadow anymore, I'm retiring. So it wasn't just the name on the line. It was well, my playing time on the line. So that would have been it for me, and I'm not ready to quit yet. So had to make sure we came through with the win. So a little bit extra more motivation for that game 7.
And in terms of what you guys did well tonight, I think it looked to me as if when you were at your best, there was not a lot of rushing going on. There was an element of calmness in your play. I think I noticed Envy leaning more towards the third man role, taking it slow and coming forward when he needs to. But that's just, of course, speculation. Do you guys have, obviously don't need to leak or anything, but do you guys have a strategy that you guys are working on for this season of play? Of course, for Germany, for services, of course, for IDEG, for Pro League. Is there a strat that you guys are looking to execute? Of course, noting Thuba coming through the application phase as well. Is there a style that the Stormshadows are looking to nail down this season? You don't have to state what it is, but just answer the question.
The short answer is no. We didn't really prep too hard for this game for the tournament. I've only really just started scrimming again as of this week. But in terms of when Thuba gets in, I think it'll just be give ball to Thuba. Thuba scores.
Fair. And on that, last one from me, Danny, before I hand over to you for any questions that you may or may not have, is I've been hearing that the army are stating that they once again feel confident that this will be their year, and I'd like to like your take on that.
Well, we know where that's got them in the past, so I think we're going to repeat history again, to be honest.
Is what I said on the stream as well. So I think that's both of us being clipped now. Of course, in all seriousness, we are expecting them to be a lot better than they were last year as well. So and I said to Danny on the commentary box, we welcome that. We welcome that. The better they are,
for sure,
the better we get. So it'll be great, and we get our first taste, of course, Cedric, in a couple of weeks' time. And Danny, over to you if you have any questions.
I'm going to touch on one thing, and it's based on one of your previous answers there, Cedric. And I'm going to retire when I'm no longer a Stormshadows player. If you were to lose tonight, would you have stuck the token match in to get it back, or would you have decided that was it? Would you at least fought for it?
I would have put one back in, yeah, defo, because I believe we're on paper, not only on paper, we're a stronger roster than them. We are, I think, just in general. We just had a little slip up tonight after I DC'd and had to restart my whole system. It kind of knocked our momentum a little bit. But yeah, I do think we are the stronger roster. And yeah, we would have gone back in, and then if we lost at that time, then yeah, that would have been it. Yeah.
I don't want to. I'll throw this out to you. If you were to retire today, you could pick one player from any of the RAF team. Who would you suggest they should play with P and NB if Fuber wasn't around? I would have been intrigued. Who would you want to see step up to be your replacement?
I think the best player on the pitch tonight for the Tempest was Action, and I think just naturally he's probably the guy to fill that slot. But there's strong shouts for the likes of Samez as well, who obviously won the Inter-Service Championship with us last year. But yeah, it'd probably be a strong argument for those two. But yeah, that's where my thoughts lie.
Do you know what, still, I think maybe that's where top 25 list needs to be made based on that, because I wouldn't have one or two of those names up there.
We actually should. We actually need to make this. There's a great bit of content. Top 25 Stormshadows players of all time across the whole community. We need to do that at some point. It's a great bit of content. Danny, is that everything from you, brother?
That's all from me.
Cedric, thank you very much for your time. Well done to you and your team retaining your first place position, and in history that's never been beaten. So long may that continue for you, of course. For the Tempests, they'll go back to the drawing board after what was an incredible performance from them to try to reverse sweep. And from us here on the RAF Stormshadows channel, it'll be goodbye and good night, and see you tomorrow to see the Shadows take on the Nighthawks. And then, of course, after that, we are into the 10-day or so countdown before we get our first look at the inter-service rivalry for this season on the 19th and 20th of May. For now, good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.